So Thursday night begins Shavuot this week. Thursday night, the holiday celebrating whatever happened at Mount Sinai. And yes, I use the word whatever intentionally. We know the story. Moses goes up the mountain and there is thunder and lightning, fire, smoke, revelation. Fire on the mountain. Not the Grateful Dead song, but if you know, you know. Moses receives the 10 Commandments, the people panic, the golden calf happens, Moses smashes the tablets, and then he climbs back up the mountain again and receives a second set. But Shavuot does not really focus on the broken tablets or the golden calf. It focuses on revelation itself, the encounter between human beings and something larger than themselves. And that is where things get complicated. Because many of us are comfortable talking about Judaism, we are comfortable talking about tradition and history and ethics and maybe even Israel, definitely bagels. We're comfortable talking about our guilt and brisket and whether the Rabbi's sermon should have been shorter. But God, that is harder. I love God. I just don't always know what that means. Maybe you feel that way too. One of the things I genuinely love about Judaism is that it allows room for wrestling with God. Loving God in Judaism has never required a simplistic or childish image of God. The old man in the sky images work beautifully until about second grade. And then what? For many people, nobody helps construct a more mature language of belief. After the cartoon version stops working, we know what we no longer believe, but we're not sure on what we do believe. Daniel Gordis writes about this tension in his book, God Was Not in the Fire. The uncomfortable space between rejecting simplistic faith and not yet having language for a deeper one. He shares, of course, the perception that belief in God is fundamental to authentic Jewish religious experience is not only the result of popular culture. He says, much of what Jews see about Judaism itself confirms that sense. After all, synagogue services constantly speak about God. The prayer book seems to assume confident belief in God, as do naming ceremonies for children, the Passover Seder, Hanukkah candle lighting ceremonies, funerals, mourning rituals. Synagogue sermons tend to either speak of God as obvious fact or just to avoid the issue of God altogether. And the result is that there are very few Jewish settings where Jews have the opportunity to wonder aloud about God, to articulate their sense of what they do and do not believe, and to share their frustrations at not being certain. Nowhere, Gorda says, nowhere in their Jewish experience has Judaism provided a place to find reassurance that in their doubt, they are not alone. So, Revelation is a great place to start. For us to start to figure out what we do believe. Too often I hear Judaism allows us to believe so many things, which is true. But that is used as an excuse to not figure out what you believe within that breath. That is why I love Shavuot, especially the tradition of the Tikkun Leil Shavuot. The rabbis imagined that on the morning of Revelation, the Israelites overslept, which is both spiritually profound and the most Jewish thing imaginable. So we developed the custom of staying up all night studying Torah, as if to say, we missed the alarm clock once and we will not do it again. And now we are not going all the way till sunrise here. We are Jews with jobs and we have to get to shul the next day, but we will go at least until about 1:30 in the morning or so. But Thursday night, we are going to learn deep into the night. Clergy taught, congregants teaching, questioning, arguments, ideas, and of course, cheesecake and blintzes. Because Shavuot is not only about what happened at Sinai long ago. It is about whether revelation is still possible now. So I want to explore Revelation a bit. I'm going to offer a few perspectives from Jewish tradition and ask you to raise your hands if this sounds like something intriguing, an idea worth exploring. Okay, ready? Number one, according to rabbinic tradition, every person at Mount Sinai, including women and children, experienced a direct revelation suited to their individual comprehension. So while the Israelites were massed around the base of the mountain, each person there experienced it in their own way. It was simultaneously a communal experience and a powerful individual experience designed for each person to understand it in their own way. So hands, does this sound like something intriguing that you would want to explore? Okay, I got a few. Great. Okay. Let me ask, if you raise your hand, what do you like about this approach? I should say there's 3 all total, and you can vote as many times as you want. It's like Chicago. Vote early, vote often. So if you raise your hand, all the way in the back, Adam, what do you like about this approach?
Well, it reminds me of our late friend, Daryl Sherman, who told a story about being in Israel, having a wonderful encounter, and they were like, do I know you? And the other person said, no, but we met at Sinai.
So Adam is referring a beloved member who passed away a number of years ago, who loves this idea of the communal experience of it. He was walking down the street in Israel, it was shared, and he ran into someone and they said, do I know you? And the guy responded, I don't know you, but we must have been at Sinai together. That's why you look familiar. So yeah, there's something very powerful about that communal experience. Someone else, Andrea.
I love that it's inclusive and there's not one way or wrong way to think about it.
You love that it's inclusive and not one way or one or the other. Okay, number 2. Here's option number 2. So get your voting buzzers ready. The experience at Sinai was profoundly sensory, with Torah stating, V'chol ha'am ro'im et hakolot. All the people saw the sounds. Okay? This indicates a spiritual revelation that transcends normal human experience. The mystics spend a lot of time on this. But as I have learned more about how people with neurodivergence experience the world, I like this even more. This description intrigues me. To see sound is not something I understand, but I know others experience the world like that. So what do you think about this one? Kol ha'am ro'im et hakolot. All the people saw the sound, saw the voice. So raise your hands for this one, if this intrigues you. Yeah?
I like it. It reminds me of the end of the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
It reminds you of the Close Encounters of the Third Kind. How so?
Well, there was whatever it was that was communicating was musical.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there were lights at the same time. So.
Yeah, there was lights and music through that one. It's on the edge of my brain to remember like what those tones were, but I can't pull it out yet. Yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's like lightning, where you see the lightning first, and then you hear the sound, and you associate the two.
That maybe what the Torah is saying is that we're connecting a visual and a hearing, right? Like lightning, that you see the lightning, then you hear the sound, and we think that the lightning is making the sound. Which actually, I don't know, some scientists in the room will tell me after if that actually is it, and it just travels at different speeds, or if they're different experiences that are next to each other. But yeah, maybe there's something like that. Yeah, great. Yeah, there's another? Are you pointing to someone? Yeah. Oh, all the way over, yes.
I like the notion of the senses not being divided. I think in our modern world, we have so many of our experiences of sight. But really, all of our senses are connected. And it takes a little bit of a release from, I guess, the modern world to experience that.
Yeah, that our senses are part of who we are. It's not one or another or another. Right? It's actually one of the parts that is so integrated into Judaism that not only here, but I love every Saturday night at Havdalah, we ignite all 5 of our senses to use it, right? Our sight, our sound, our smell, our taste, our touch, all are used, and I think it's a reminder that to be a full person, we need to rely on as many senses as we can to pull in, that they should be integrated in some way, but each have their own way. So I like that idea. Okay, and the third and final opportunity, and if you haven't voted yet, then I'd love to hear what would speak to you afterwards at Kiddush, if there was a 4 or a 5, but for time I only brought 3. So a prominent teaching suggests that all that people heard was the first aleph of the first commandment, Anochi. In that utterance, the entire Torah was contained, the entire Torah and tradition was revealed. And of course, the letter aleph doesn't have a sound in and of itself. Therefore, revelation was not of specific words, but that the Torah is an expression of that Mount Sinai experience. The stories, rules, the images are all driving towards capturing that aspect of that single aleph moment, that single experience. So, thoughts on this one? Oh, this one's a little too out there for you, huh? So, okay, we got one.
Something about tying it to the story about all the Torah is just one, be good to one another, find a simple constant, and all the rest is just content.
Okay, well, so you like the idea of like, let's have one main rule. I think this is saying something a little different, but let's have one main rule, the golden rule, let's say, right? And be kind to people, and the rest is commentary, and go out and do it, for sure. This is saying something a little different. Of course, that's Hillel and others, say that. And it's so popular within the Jewish tradition that the Christian tradition picks it up as well, right? That they don't come out of nowhere, they come out of our tradition, and so they pick that up as well. But that this is saying that the experience was so overwhelming, it was like aha, right? That was so big that sort of everything was happening right there. You have something to add, yeah?
It reminds me of a story that the rabbis tell when a little boy in synagogue doesn't know how to pray, he says the alphabet. And it's about the spiritual experience behind it. So to me, it's that feeling of you only have to hear the aleph to know the spiritual feeling behind what the Torah is giving us.
It's about sincerity. You just shared a summary of a story that a little boy doesn't know how to pray, and he just says the aleph bet. I've heard the story told that he says, God will figure it out. God will put all of the letters in the right order for what the prayer should be, and I love that idea. But this idea that the aleph is, it's an experience. I have something tied onto it. I should say that wait, 1, 2, and then we're going to continue. Yeah. I'm sorry? Oh, to the Big Bang. Maybe, yes. The Big Bang is just a huge experience, and we're trying to figure it all out from that. So maybe the revelation, the aleph, was like the Big Bang of revelation. It all was put out there. Yes?
So the aleph speaks to an abstraction.
Okay.
I feel and find totally unsatisfying.
Okay. So
The attempt to describe the experience in literal terms, and I
So John is saying that the whole idea of the Aleph, of just the Aleph, is such an abstraction that he wants something that's more tangible, more explaining exactly what happened, and it's unsatisfying to kind of have that breath to it. Yeah.
I think we hear certain ways and see certain things and smell our senses in a very elementary way. I think back then, you sensed, smell, hear, heard everything all at once. I think it was a revelation of all your senses somehow sensing something that you never
Certainly.
heard when you can see music.
Yeah. Then maybe they, and we definitely know that we are desensitized by so much today, right? That someone that lives in the city compared to someone that lives in the countryside certainly hears different things and hears in different ways. So maybe all the more so before they had Netflix, before they had all of the latent sounds. It was actually one of the beautiful parts of a tragic situation of COVID, which is I could sit in the backyard and I can hear the sounds of things because there weren't airplanes or cars going and honking, and there was fewer ambulances, and there was all of those background noises that actually distract us. So I want us to move on, but I want us to continue with this conversation. So I know that there's some hands, so let's talk at Kiddush afterwards. On this last approach, the tradition kind of goes in two different directions. Mordechai Kaplan pushes this approach to the Torah being a human document, which therefore has its own sense of sanctity. But Norman Lamb in the Orthodox tradition pushes in a different direction and says that each and every word of the Torah was revealed, and therefore it is holy. For Lamb, not just the Torah, but all future interpretations as well were revealed at Sinai. So there's a story similar to what was shared before that Rabbi Harold Kushner shares in his book, Who Needs God? It's 1973, it's the Yom Kippur War breaks out, and there's a surprise attack on Israel. Israel is nearly destroyed in that 3-week war. And a congregant learns of the war happening as he's in shul, and he cannot sit in the sanctuary any longer. How could the God that he was told who would protect good people, protect the Jewish people, allow so many to die in that war, and on Yom Kippur, nonetheless? So he throws down his machzor, and he's seething, he runs out, Kushner tells. And a few days later, he goes back to the rabbi and apologizes. He felt horrible for leaving the Yom Kippur service like that. And Kushner writes, the rabbi told him, you have nothing to feel guilty about and nothing to apologize for. Your slamming the book down and storming out was probably the most sincere prayer anybody offered in the synagogue all day long. He said, the God I believe in is not too fragile that you hurt him by being angry at him, or so petty that he will hold it against you for being upset at him. Kushner continues with the story. I believe God is just as upset about people being killed in war as you and I are, and that God respects good, clean, honest anger as much as you and I do, and a lot more than God probably respects mumbling prayers by people going through the motions. I like Kushner's story about honest, passionate emotions towards God. Both Gordis and Kushner suggest that we do not have enough spaces to explore and doubt and question or affirm our own personal beliefs about God. So consider this an invitation, permission, and also a bit of an admonishment if you do not start thinking deeper about what God is for you. How does God operate in the world or not? And what an image of God might be beyond the guy on the throne in the cloud thing. If that works for you, go for it. But if that is not working for you anymore, let's think more deeply together. That is what Shavuot allows us to do. So come Thursday night, let the act of studying together reveal new insights into Torah, into peoplehood, and maybe even into God. Shabbat Shalom.